What I would suggest is to prepare a few sentences for situations that would normally challenge you. Like, for example, you know that somebody's going to talk about you smoking, or you are a single person and you don't want the 15th auntie or uncle to ask you whether you don't want to have a partner, or you have a partner but you don't have children and you don't want children, but you know that somebody's going to ask you when are you going to have children. So for these situations, it's a really great idea to prepare a few sentences that you are practicing. So you have to practice them in front of a mirror or out loud on your desk for these situations. Like, for example, thank you for your interest, and I don't feel comfortable with this topic. Thank you for your interest, so you're respectful with auntie and uncle who only want your best. And you let them know how you feel about it. I don't feel comfortable with this topic. Or a bit stronger, I don't feel comfortable, can we please change the topic? Or if the conversation is ongoing about something, if the conversation goes on in this direction, I will choose to leave this conversation, this table, this room. Okay, so graded responses, some easy ones like, I appreciate your concern and I don't want to talk about this. Or thank you for your interest and I don't want to share this. Or this is too personal, or this is private, or, you know, like simple sentences that you prepare upfront, that you have ready-made in your drawer when a situation comes that makes you feel uncomfortable. And it's always a great idea to say you don't feel comfortable. I feel uncomfortable in this conversation. I feel uncomfortable in this situation. I feel uncomfortable with that tone of voice or something. And can we please change the topic? Or if the conversation continues like this, I will choose to leave the table, the room, something like that. And leaving the situation is something that we have to give ourselves permission to do. For example, I'm always recommending toilet breaks. I can really strongly recommend to go to the toilet when you can feel that your chest is getting heavy, that your shoulders are tensing, when you have some sensations in your belly, when you have a lump in your throat. It's really a great idea to put in a bathroom break, to say, sorry, excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom. And then take 5 minutes time out to really, whatever you do in the bathroom, but breathe, okay? So regulate yourself, find yourself back in your own physical body, find your feet, you know, let cold water go over your hands or your arms, or even splash it in your face if you can, or if you are comfortable with that. So really break the situations by taking a break. Okay, this was a long answer and a long recommendation.
I think you're reading my mind, because I have some questions in my head and you're answering it, right?
Well, go ahead.
But still it's very connected, because from my own experience, like as you said with the sentences, my mechanism is that I'm frozen in the moment, like I cannot control it. Like my mechanism of my nervous system is freeze. So there are so many situations that I prepared myself, not only in the sentences, but I was like, okay, I understand it logically. I know what's happening. I know that, you know, everything is like, okay, I see. But then something happens which I don't expect. But once I'm frozen, I cannot talk. I cannot even think about I should leave to the toilet or do something else. So like that's what I wanted to, you know, connect it. That was another question that I have here, that what can be some simple grounding or self-regulation tools that we can use when we are triggered in the middle of a family situation that can be, for example, very intense, and suddenly we forget everything. Like the system is off. We cannot do anything about it, you know?
Yeah. Freeze is really a bit challenging because the freeze that you're describing goes onto the border of dissociation. So that's the moment where we're frozen, but we're withdrawing even more. We are shutting even more shutters, and it's almost like we're going onto our spaceship, disappearing and leaving the body behind, and whatever happens, we don't even hear anything anymore. We can't talk, we can't listen, we don't know what's going on. So this is unfortunately a severer kind of nervous system survival strategy. But what can help in these situations? First of all, practice before. Okay? Practice, practice, practice. Because nervous system regulation and healing doesn't come from a once-off big hoo-ha. It comes from the daily, continuous acts of self-regulation, of self-reliance, of being with ourselves in a compassionate way. So it needs a bit of practice, and you still have a week to go, or 10 days actually. So we still have a while to practice, and here it is. There is hyper arousal, too much, anger, fear, panic, too many words, and there's hypo arousal. So we're freezing over, we can't move anymore, speech is falling away. Now, the people with a high arousal, they have to learn how to calm down, okay? How to ground, how to find the bum on the chair, how to find the feet on the ground. This also helps with freezing, to find your feet, to find anything in your body that's below the diaphragm, okay? Because in freeze, we are kind of like shut here. So when you find body parts below the diaphragm, like you can touch your belly, if you can breathe towards it. You can find your bum that you're sitting on, and you can try to find your feet on the floor and concentrate on the weight of your body on the chair for a moment to find your body again. But what I also recommend is to use the sense of smell, especially for the freeze people, because the sense of smell, is one of the last ones that stays online. Okay, this is why the reeking salt works, because your nose is still having a direct connection to your brain. So when you have a strong odor, a strong scent, it still reaches your brain. Now, there are bracelets, like it looks like this, but it's actually a bracelet with a little amulet. And in the amulet, there is a bit of felt, like a piece of fabric. And you can drop onto that piece of fabric a strong scent. For example, I recommend the mix that I use in my practice, which is rosemary and geranium and lavender and a little bit of grapefruit. And that mix is very strong. So my clients remember the smell of my practice, of my therapy room, and they have it on the wrist. So it's a little band here that smells of this. And they can sit like this, and it's not very obvious what you're doing, but you're smelling that smell, which brings you back into that room of safety that their body knows. So to connect a smell and safety, for example. So if you are at home and you enjoy lavender or rose, or maybe even, what's that Christmassy, that little cloves. What you put into mulled wine, or what you put into an orange to hang it up. This is a very strong smell. So you can have one or two of those in your pocket, and you can play with them, and you can rub them a little bit and smell that. You can even bite on that, but that's not very pleasant. But to use your senses to come back into the moment. And the sense of smell is one of the strongest. But you can also take conscious tasting. So you can have a lemon lozenge or something nearby that you put into your mouth. I mean, around Christmas we are all eating. So put something consciously into your mouth and concentrate on the taste. Forget all the people and concentrate on the taste in your mouth. And what I also teach my clients, but you have to practice this a little bit, is coming back to all your senses. So the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the touch. So this is something that is not very obvious. You can do that even when people are around you. You're looking around the room, and internally you're naming what you're seeing. I see the wall and a lamp and a computer, and I see a bottle of water, and I see my hand, and there's something like this. So you're commenting inside of what you're seeing while you're moving your eyes. And then also you're trying to hear something. When you're still in freeze, it's like you don't hear much, but you can still try. And then you can touch. Okay, you can touch your own skin, you can find your jersey or whatever you're wearing, the fabric of your clothes. And also what I recommend is, because maybe you have this smelling bundle anyway, but you can have a little band around your arm that you play with. I have a ring that you can move. So it's a ring that has another ring inside, so you can actually spin with it, like a fidget spinner or something like that. You can play with the ring, which gives you sensations, and physical sensations, they put you back into the present moment. So you can play with these things or around, or your jersey or something like that. So using the senses to come back into the present moment. Breath, obviously, but breath, breathing, you have to practice before, because when you are in the situation and you start to sigh, it could come across wrongly. Okay, so when your auntie and uncle are saying something and you say, it could be misunderstood. So my recommendation is, if you want to use breathing, practice it beforehand. So one very, very good technique is the physiological sighing. So you breathe in twice through your nose, and then you breathe out with your mouth open. And you do this a couple of times. You can do it faster, you can do it slower, but you help yourself to regulate with this. But remember, when you do that in the presence of somebody else, you have to be a little bit more cautious so that it's not misunderstood. But what works also very well is box breathing, and it's less obvious. Okay, box breathing is like, a box. It has 4 sides and they have the equal sides. So box breathing is breathing into one count of 3, for example. So you breathe in 1, 2, 3, hold it 1, 2, 3, breathe out 1, 2, 3, hold it 1, 2, 3. So you're breathing around the box, but breathing in same time, holding same time, breathing out same time, holding same time, like this. And these timers for box breathing, for example, they are everywhere on the internet, so it's very easy to find. I think some of the health applications on your phone, they also have box breathing. Mine has, Samsung phone, Samsung Health, there is a box breathing on there. So if you are in possession of some health app, use them. Practice beforehand, so that you feel what effect it has when you regulate your nervous system before you go somewhere. And you can practice it at home. So you put on your app, do your box breathing, and you can take your pulse before and after and see what happened. And also, as a reminder, these techniques are very, very powerful. But like you said, when you are in the situation and you're frozen, it's hard to remember them. You will not. But when you're wearing your little thing around the wrist, you will remember, because you can see it. Okay, so you can look down at your wrist and say, oh yeah, there was something. And you smell it. And you're breathing like this.
It's much easier when I have people around me who know me already, like when I'm with my friends, of course, they're like, okay, now you're frozen. Like, okay, now I know. So when I hear it from the outside, then I know what to do. But when I'm not aware and I'm with my family, where people have no idea what's happening in them, what's happening to me, because it never happened and we never talk about it, of course. Then
one more technique that I find quite helpful is, I had to do that when I was much younger. There were family gatherings of my in-laws, where a person was very hostile towards me. And I had to have an imaginary, how can I say, protection shield, because this person could not only physically but emotionally be very hurtful. And I needed to protect myself, because I would not consciously go into a situation where I get hurt. My body is saying, are you stupid? Don't do that. But what I did, and that worked quite well for me, is I created my own protective cocoon. And it goes like this. I'm going to do it with you. Now you have to imagine, okay? So if you're listening, not if you're driving, but if you're listening, then really close your eyes and feel your own body. Really feel, I'm here. And then try to gum from your body from the top down, so you can feel your head, your face, your throat. You can swallow. You can feel your shoulders and loosen them for a moment. And you can sigh, so you come lower into the diaphragm, maybe even into the belly. You let the belly flop out, let it hang out, and try to breathe towards the belly. And then feel your bum if you're sitting, and feel your legs if you're sitting. And if you're standing, then feel your legs and your feet. And really, no matter whether you're sitting or standing, find your feet wherever they are resting on. And then imagine you could grow roots through your feet. So really grounding yourself, being connected to whatever's carrying you to the floor. And in this connection to the floor, grounded as you are, with your body fully here, remember your shoulder blades. They are on the back of your body. Remember your shoulder blades. You can move your shoulders if then it's easier for you to remember where they are. And then imagine, out of your shoulder blades, you could grow angel wings. And let your invisible angel wings grow out of your shoulder blades. Fluff them out as if you had enormous angel wings. And then wrap yourself in these angel wings. Wrap them all around you so that you feel the soft feathers, that you feel the warmth, that you feel the comfort. And if it's helpful for you, you can even take your arms and wrap them around yourself and feel yourself stroking up and down your arms. Sighing into your angel wings, really filling them with comfort, with safety. And taking 1 or 2 breaths, you can stop rubbing or you continue rubbing, it doesn't matter. And in that safety of your own angel wings, you can slowly allow yourself to arrive here with your angel wings still wrapped around you. You can return into the body here and now. Feel your feet, feel your bum, feel your back, feel your angel wings. And then prepare that soon you're going to open your eyes. And when you feel comfortable and ready in your angel wings, then slowly open your eyes again. How does that feel?
Being me again, just with myself.
It's cute, hey? And it works. It's just best practiced before. And then before you even enter the house, wherever you're meeting, before you even enter, do the same thing, okay? Breathing out, finding your body, finding your feet, because you're standing in front of a door or something. So find your feet, remember them, grow roots, remember your shoulder blades, fluff your angel wings, wrap them around you before you even enter. Because what happens here is then your nervous system is set into safety. So your nervous system feels safe with you protecting yourself. So when you enter in that situation, you are not already tense and tight and high strung and, ready for attack, ready for protection, but you're entering in a softness. You're entering in a different nervous system setting. And other nervous systems pick up on your frequencies. So if you are stressed and high-strung and activated and protective, other people pick up on that and they think, what's wrong with her? Why is she so, defensive. And then they attack and they pick because you are sending protective vibes. But if you come with your angel wings, smiling, then they pick up a different signal. They pick up on the softness, on the safety, on the security, on the grounding. They pick up on you. Hey, here she is. It's a very different signal. And I also, sorry, yeah?
No, I just wanted to add that I remember this technique when we were in Lipno, and it actually helped me a lot because I was going through hard integration and he told me I can use this. So this technique is great and I use it sometimes. I remember that from that time it's great to be there for myself also in the integration.
Yeah, and whatever you need as a helpful reminder. So coming back to the bracelet that we're wearing with the smell on it, so you can even have, these jewelry bracelets where you have little angels and unicorns and stuff that you can put on the bracelet. It's also an option to have a feather or an angel wing on your bracelet to remember that this is an option that you have, that you can wrap yourself into your own safety to keep yourself from sending the wrong signals and to keep yourself safe when you need it. Yeah, now I remember what I wanted to say, because you said your friends pick up on your signals when you start to freeze or when you're frozen, and then you remember what to do. I mean, the prime would be, so the best would be if you could learn to read your own body signals, your own nervous system signals when it starts to happen. Okay? And it's not so difficult. Okay, we can do it now, but we don't have to. Because what we can do is we can picture a situation that would usually bring us up. Okay, and we can notice when we picture that person or that situation, what is activating? Where is my body activating? For me, people are different, but for me, when I'm getting into the corner of, my shoulders are coming up, I'm puffing up, my shoulders are tensing and my fists are closing. So I have more tension in my arms, I'm getting tense. And I'm also noticing that something is happening on my forehead, And then I sometimes really voluntarily roll my shoulders back, let them drop, and do this with my forehead. So I'm really rubbing over my forehead to open this again so that I'm not, but okay, like this. Or I might loosen up my arms and I might even do this with my hands because I'm having so much running. But I have trained myself to really notice the signs. So when I'm activating, I'm feeling it. Also, I'm feeling when I'm getting more anxious than angry. I'm noticing that I'm getting like a lump in my tummy. It feels like, I'm getting sick. So when I'm noticing this, I know that something is happening and I choose a toilet break. Okay? I'm noticing very early when it's starting and I absent myself immediately. I don't even continue talking. I say, I have to use the bathroom very quickly. Choof, off I go. I don't even discuss that anymore. And the opposite when I'm going into deactivation. So the feeling is more of the energy is going out. I'm getting so tired. I'm getting distracted. I can't follow the conversation anymore. It's kind of like I'm going on my spaceship. But what I notice is that everything becomes heavy. Even my breathing becomes heavy. It could even be that it feels like I can't breathe anymore. And I notice that my emotions are dropping into helpless, hopeless, sad, that corner. And I'm noticing, everything is And my impulse is, my feeling, I want to withdraw. I want to get out of the situation and I want to disappear. I don't want to be here, But I feel it physically, I feel it coming. And what I do when I physically feel, freeze is coming, of course I take a toilet break, like I always do. But if I can't do that, I might put my hands here and do this. And if this is too obvious for you, so this is a butterfly hug. So you put your hands on your chest, Okay, with or without the thumbs, it doesn't matter. But the fingers are gently tapping on yourself. And if this is not possible, or it's too obvious, or you don't feel good about that, you could do it invisibly in your pockets. So you can do that on your legs. You know, these pitty-patty raindrops, you can do that on your legs. So it's little movements that I do. Preferably crossing over the body midline. Okay, so the right hand going onto the left part of the body and the left going onto the right. And I might even do that because it's not, how can I see you? I'm hugging myself and I'm rubbing my upper arms, okay? And especially in winter, it's not, you know, well, she's rubbing herself. She's probably cold. Doesn't matter. But what I'm doing here is neuroscience, because when I'm crossing over, I'm activating both brain halves. And rubbing the upper arms gives you an immediate relief, immediate feeling of safety. Even hugging yourself like this, you know, with your arms crossed, hugging yourself like this, can be enough to catch this first moment of, ooh, withdrawal, to really catch yourself and, oh, yeah, come back here. Find your feet, smell, look around, what can I see? Where am I? What's happening here? Orientation, orientation, orientation. Toilet break.
It depends on situation. Sometimes I know, sometimes it's too much, but it depends on who is it with.
It depends. Yes.
There is one question related to boundaries. You mentioned boundaries before. And I really like this one, that how can we hold compassion for our family members while still protecting our own emotional boundaries?
Very good point. What I'm sometimes practicing with my clients is to see the little children in ourselves and the others. So when your brother / uncle, auntie, mother, somebody, when somebody is behaving in a way that is not mature, potentially triggering for you, maybe even hurtful, it can help not to see them as the adult they are now, but to see them as a baby version of themselves, to see the little teenager or toddler that they are at the moment, throwing a tantrum or misbehaving or demanding attention or whatever that is. Because this is what's really happening, that in our family members, an older part of them is activating, coming to the forefront, interacting with our older parts. So it's not me, adult now, talking to you, adult now, but it's some old version of me talking to some old version of you. And it can be helpful to really picture this. Two little children in a sand pit throwing the toys at each other. It can help. And eventually, you will still have to remember that it's fantastic to have compassion for your family members and to understand with empathy where they are coming from. And that at the same time, you owe yourself, your own little one, the same compassion and empathy. So when you see both of you as children, then decide, is there anything you can do for that little child that your uncle is? And is there anything you can do for yourself as that little child? What would you need in that situation as a little child? And sometimes you notice you have to tell your uncle, that reminds me of us 20 years ago. And you can say to your uncle, I'm sorry, I have moved on. And leave the situation and take your bathroom stop. So having compassion with yourself sometimes means to understand where somebody's coming from and to decide to choose yourself over that person. Because this is what we were forced to do. Sounds a little bit harsh, but what happened to us when we were children is probably that we had to choose between belonging to our family and staying safe with our caregivers, or staying the version that we are that got us in trouble. And as children, we had no real choice. As children, we had to abandon our true nature, our true selves, to stay connected to our caregivers, to our families. Because for children to be abandoned and to be not connected to the tribe, to the family, means death. So there is a setting in our brain that does not give us permission. It does not allow us to leave our family or to do anything against our own family. So we will always be forced by our own brain, we will be forced to abandon ourselves and to try to get back into the family frame. And the same mechanism, okay, it's part of our attachment system in the brain. The same mechanism is still at play today, but we can be more conscious with that. We can use this technique with the little ones or other things. We can stay more conscious and say, okay, I remember that flavor, okay? I remember that flavor, that feeling. I do remember that feeling. And I can make new choices. You can remind yourself you're an adult now. So you can really make new choices now that were not available when you were a child. So setting boundaries is a challenge with our families, okay? So we have to practice, because they don't come easy. Even when you're good in setting boundaries in the office or with your friends or wherever, but coming home and keeping your boundaries is next level, okay? And to be compassionate with yourself and to really, there, okay, we did it again, okay, and then reloading, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, setting boundaries is one thing. That's what I'm learning last few weeks. That's happening in my relationship. Setting is one thing, but keeping them, then you meet the person and then you try like to go into their story, but no, I'm honoring my boundaries. This is the tricky part.
Yeah.
We learn.
But I would like to remind you of what they always say in the airplanes. Put your own mask on first. So look after yourself and then see whether there's anything left for uncle, auntie, mommy, daddy, brother, sister. Look after yourself and then see what happens. And what's also helpful is to get clearer about the expectations around Christmas. So can you really handle 3 days with the full family? Is that really an option? Because there is absolutely no shame, absolutely nothing wrong with deciding that, yeah, I can hang out for 3 days with them, but I need a couple of breaks in between. I need some time for myself. I need to stroll in the woods after lunch, half an hour, all by myself. And no, I don't want to take everybody with me. Or if they decide they go for a walk, then I decide that I go for a nap. Okay, so be wise to know in advance. Okay, you can picture yourself in these situations and you can in advance plan and give yourself permission to go for a walk, absent yourself, have a nap, ask for quiet time, ask for one-on-one with somebody if this is what you're craving, what is good for you. You can say, okay, I'm going on overload. This is this is challenging for me. I would love to go for a walk with only 1 or 2 people. Okay, so think ahead and give yourself permission that you don't do the full Monty, so the complete thing, but that you pick and choose. Or that you even limit it, that you say, okay, I come for a lunch, but I don't stay for coffee, or I come for coffee, I don't stay for dinner, or whatever, So be wise about what is really nourishing you and your system. Because it's not about the adults meeting each other, it's about the nervous systems clashing and colliding. And what we actually most of the people that I talk to, what we want out of Christmas is we want to be with, we want to connect to our loved ones. It's not about all the gifts and the meals and the everything. It's not about that. But what we are actually really longing is to be connected, to be close to each other in an honest, open, intimate in the sense of connected way. So that's what we are really craving. And the good question is, who of the people that you will see is actually available for such a thing? Who of the people that you're planning to see can actually meet this expectation, requirement, hope, Is there anybody that can really meet that? Or is there an option where you can put it into words? I would love to hang out with you and have a good time, and I know that I had a lot of stress this year, end of this year, last month, last week. I had a lot of stress, and I would really appreciate, I would love for us to, and then fill in the blank, just go for a walk. Just sit together without presents, not having a big meal, but, like wording what is the important bit. I love our relationship and I wish we could fill in. So that you actually honoring that you come home, not to torture yourself, but you come home because you appreciate the people. No matter how human they are, you still love and respect them. So, and if it's not that case, so if you really only come home because it's the tradition or because your neighbors would say something or auntie somebody and the other would otherwise talk about you, then it's another thing to really be honest with yourself. Is that really what you need and want? And we have to make it normal to admit that our family was not just roses. So when I was younger, I could not admit, I could not even see, it wouldn't have occurred to me to say that my family is not perfect. Well, I knew that they were not perfect, but I would not have admitted that there was anything wrong with anybody, that there was anything wrong in how we're feeling or that I was not feeling good. I would have felt that this would be betrayal. Okay, it would have felt like betrayal to me if I would have said, I don't feel good, I don't feel safe, I don't even feel connected. Okay, so it for me, it was not an option when I was very young. It took me a while and it took me therapy to actually realize, hey, that was not okay. That was a not okay situation. And I don't even have to blame anybody for it. It was simply not okay. There were traumatized people that got together and created a dysfunctional system. Yay! And they were surviving, and that's wonderful. And I survived too, and that's marvelous. And I love them, okay? I do love them dearly now. But in between, the situation was really complicated. And we are allowed to choose and say, this is not good for me. Some of the people that belong to my family, our relationship does not work. Okay? There is no positive coming out of this relationship, and just because we are acquainted, just because we are blood or related by marriage, doesn't mean that we have to spend so and so much time together. We don't have to. Okay, we can choose to say no. It's even okay to say no to Christmas. Okay, it's totally okay to say, I'm not coming this year, I'm choosing me. I had a stressful year and I need to decompress. I can visit you in the new year, or I can visit you between the years or something like that. I can come and when it's less crowdy. So I think we have to make it normal to speak about what's good for us and what's not. And to make it normal to say, I don't feel good with 20 people in the room and 15 of them are fighting. I don't feel good in a room with 5 people that feel not comfortable with each other. Why would I do that? I rather spend time with the ones that I can create a relationship where I am safe or feel safe and where we can both be comfortable. And I want to honor that. And I'm not available for game playing. So we have to make that normal. Does that sound horrible?
Beautiful. Just being honest with ourselves, and
Yeah.
as you said, admit, honor the boundaries, honor ourselves. And that I think what we are learning in this society, these weeks, months, years, that it was not normal until now to put ourselves in the first place. And now it's happening, and many people are fighting because then they cannot control us. And this is the problem, that these manipulations, illusions, it's all just breaking
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So it's just on point what you're saying. It's just so.
Yeah. And we cannot, and we should not even attempt to change our loved ones. So if our family would have wanted to change, if the people would have wanted to know something about themselves and us and our relationship, they could have asked years ago. And now it's on us to say, look, I love you and I would love to have a relationship with you, but this is what I can do and this is what I cannot do. And I'm choosing to end the conversation if it goes in that direction. Or, the jokes. I mean, my family of origin, they joke a lot, and 90% of the jokes are not funny. So, I mean, the majority of the jokes are actually humiliation in disguise. And I don't know who created that, this picking on each other as a love language. In my family of origin, picking on each other and humiliating each other is a love language. And I'm not having this anymore. Okay? I don't find it funny. And I say that, and I don't laugh about these jokes anymore. And I say, sorry, I'm boring. I don't find this funny. Or I leave the judgmental part of I'm boring out and I just say I don't find this funny. I'm just admitting that this kind of love language is not doing it for me anymore. And I exit that conversation. So I don't respond to that. I don't laugh. There is nothing coming out of me. So it gets boring to make these jokes with me. And sometimes we have to speak out loud that this is not a joke, it's hurtful. I know it's meant to be funny or it's meant to be even loving and creating connection, but I perceive it as hurtful. It doesn't do it for me, I'm sorry. We have to be honest. And we have to practice these sentences. Because, yeah.
Yeah, what you just shared with the jokes, I think this is the only way how to break the cycle, because the people are not aware of it, And it brings me back to what we are doing now. Why is that so important, actually? Because it's all, connecting in my head, in my brain, and in my own being, that basically we cannot change others, but we can show them example when we change and when we are authentic. So when we tell them about the jokes, then maybe they will, stop and realize that why they humiliate each other is because they have so much pain that this is the only way how they want to process it, that they don't know any other way.
And they don't know how to connect.
Yeah, this is their own responsibility. So the work that you do, why we bring up all these topics, why we talk here in Soulful Talks, this is the main intention to, for me at least, not I don't want to change others, but for me to coming back to these revelations and realize that we are responsible and we can help each other by noticing and remembering, like, okay, you are now maybe hurt and then you are hurting me. Just like saying it out loud can change one's life. And then we can help each other say, okay, we have tools here, we have seminars, we have these discussions, and then people can okay, it's everything is so super connected. So what you just shared, it's just amazing, because this is the only way how to change things, just to be ourselves.
Yeah. And as I said, if joking or picking on each other, or these play fights, if this is a love language in your family, there's also a respectful way of approaching this, of saying, I know we've always done that, and I know this is one way of connecting in this family, because it is. When we can't risk being vulnerable because we are not safe with each other, when we can't risk to be vulnerable, we do it in this playful banter way. And there is a little bit of playful banter that we do that's totally okay. These little, but they are more like lovey-dovey something and the other. But when it comes into a corner where it gets humiliating and embarrassing and people don't stop, then we also have the responsibility of say, maybe you want to connect with me this way, but at the moment, it doesn't feel good with me. It doesn't sit right with me, and I need to change the conversation here. And when they go on like hunting you down, like, oh, don't you take a joke anymore, then you can say, no, for me that was not a joke, this was hurtful. And when they still continue and say, yeah, but and oh, are you taking yourself too seriously and blah 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 and all of that, you can say, you know what, the tone of this conversation is not doing it for me, and I choose to end the conversation now. So you can always signal to the other person that you got to the end of your availability, and if they don't listen, you just leave. Okay, sometimes it has to happen. Sometimes you have to turn away and not answer anymore. Or what is also an option, that you asked directly, did you mean to hurt me? No, why would I? It's like, okay, fine. It's just because I thought you were saying this, and I think it's not funny. And then, like this. So, coming back to, please, if you listen to this and you say, yeah, I know that from my family, please sit down, take a piece of paper and write down sentences to practice. Because in the situation, you will not have them ready because you haven't practiced them with your family yet. Okay, we don't have them in that situation because our brain is very, spatial local. Do you remember when you are in the kitchen and you want to fetch something from the basement, and you go to the basement and you can't remember what you wanted to fetch? It is because your brain is spatial. So in the kitchen, you know what you need. But in the basement, you forget. You don't know anymore because your memory is in space. Okay? So be wise. Prepare your little sentences on a sheet of paper, and then picture yourself at your family's dinner table in your hometown, wherever you will go. And then picture yourself there and take your sheet of paper and read your sentences. So really do this, picturing yourself in the situation. Because otherwise you will not have access to these amazing sentences that you're now formulating that are life-saving. But when you're in the situation and you get triggered, you're like, and nothing's coming out. So practice. Practice with the spatial illusion. So practice as if you were there. Make it real. Because then your brain is memorizing it. Then your brain is connecting it once it is in the situation. Then it will remember what you learned. It will give you the sentences that you need and that you can be proud of. So practice like your life depends on it, because it does.
Sounds like we are computers and we're just uploading new programs and rewiring everything and then just
Yeah, in a sense we do. When it comes to our brains, rewiring is a good word. Because you have to take apart what's in your default network. So you have to, coming back to where we started, in your default network, you've got the old childhood programmings, the old emotions, the wounds. You have got the procedural memory of how to be with mom and dad, how to be with brother and sister, who you are in the family setting. So your roles and your characteristics and your place in the hierarchy and all the attributes that you have outgrown long time ago, they are activated. They are still there because your body is the same old body that was living in this house 30 years ago. So don't expect your body to just change overnight, but get wise, okay? Rewire, reprogram yourself by picturing yourself in the family situation and practicing new words. You can even, if you have the luxury of having a conscious friend or somebody that was listening to the program with you, you could even play hot chair with them. So you could even go and place two pillows opposite each other or two chairs opposite each other, and you can say, look, Michaela, you are now my brother. Okay? And then you talk to your brother and you empty out and you say what you want to say. And it will look, after a short while, you look at Michaela's eye and you say, oh, wow, 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 you've got the eyes of my brother. Different color, different style, different gender, but who cares? So you will really feel like you're sitting with the person. So if you have good friends, you can do this little game. Not only is it very healing for yourself, but it's probably also deepening your relationship with your friend, because they get to see that vulnerable part of you that nobody can see when you're not home. Okay? So your friends know you as a powerful something and the other, but they have maybe not seen you as a child. I mean, unless it's childhood friends. But then, you know, the one in you that is dreading Christmas, that it's dreading the family gatherings, that is freezing when auntie and uncle say something, this is a vulnerable and sweet and innocent one. But this is the one that has to be protected, that you have to practice with. So using the help of your friends in that hot chair situation can be really, really helpful. And it helps your friendship too. So it makes you more, it brings you closer.
Wow. My God, I loved it today. It's so funny that I prepared so many questions and you were answering them without me asking you. So I think
so thanks for preparing it.
We are at the end anyway. Now we are running out of time. But anyway, I mean, when I look at the questions, it makes no sense to ask because everything was answered and we just went with what was present, and that's the best. I mean, it's nice to have something prepared, but it's great to just go with the flow. I had the final question prepared, but I think you already answered it. But I will just ask you in case you would like to add something that you maybe feel like you missed. What would you like people to remember or practice this Christmas or holidays or whatever visits of their families if they know family time is challenging for them?
Probably what I would love for people to remember is that when you're on the receiving end of somebody's trauma, because your family is acting on trauma, okay, they are not behaving on adult best behavior. When you're on the receiving end of somebody's trauma, the way they treat you is not about you. So please get your angel wings out, wrap yourself in your cocoon of safety. It's not about you. Okay? You don't have to be a walking example of their trauma. You don't have to be the receiving end of whatever trauma did to your parents or siblings or family. Okay? You don't have to walk around not even as the victim of their trauma. Okay? Just allow yourself to realize it's not about you. Maybe it's not even about them, but that you are at choice now. You are adult now. You can make informed choices, wise choices, to the best of your own ability at this moment and for your own best interest. And you are allowed to make them.
Wow.
Yeah, well, because it's sometimes we confuse things, you know, we think we are how they treat us.
We learned it that way. We thought exist.
Yeah, and it's probably not even true that our parents are that or our siblings are that. They are not that. They are not their trauma. And this is why we don't have to live on with that legacy. We don't have to carry it forward. It can end with us. We have the permission, we actually have the duty to end it for ourselves. So we are the ones who are able to respond. So responsibility is ours. And it includes choosing. It includes setting boundaries and practicing them. And it also includes compassion when it doesn't work.
Wow, thank you. Thank you very much for this beautiful talk. Thank you, everyone watching from the stream recording. And we hope to see you soon. And Merry Christmas to everybody.
Heartful welcome. Hope I see you in Bratislava or in Tallinn or wherever else our path may cross. And I wish you peaceful and gentle pre-Christmas days. And whatever you wish for Christmas, you know, that your heart be filled with connection and love and light, and that you be compassionate and loving towards yourself.